Hey there, guys. This is Ed, and welcome to another edition of Beers and Bots. And as you can see, still got the Chiefs logo behind us. Another week, another game. Can't say anything about it. Outside, it was a very close one. Almost heart attack inducing. Blood pressure definitely through the roof with this one. People could talk at length about overtime. What happened sucks. Josh Allen didn't make it back on the field. Feel for him. Chiefs, they were in the exact same situation in 2018 when Tom Brady, marched down the field in overtime, and Patrick Mahomes never got to see, the light of day for that. Chiefs, fortunately, they tried to get that rule changed in 2019. NFL owners, they don't want to hear nothing about it, and it was never voted upon because they never thought they would get the 24 votes. I think that's what you need to get the motion passed. But again, it sucks. We could talk about things at length on it, but plain and simple, I guess the biggest question I have is why the Bills didn't do a squib kick, pooch punch, onside kick, something to take some time off of the clock. You kick it out, no time off the clock, and unfortunately gave Mahomes and company the 13 seconds they needed to get it in and tie it up. So, whatever, it is what it is. So, in any event, we're here not to talk about football. We're here to talk about beer. And for this, we're going to be going to Frederick, Maryland. We're going to be looking to Flying Dog Brewery. We're going to be trying out one of their sour beers that comes from their Brewhouse Rarity lineup. Guess I'll show you. You can see we got the beer can a little flipped up. Figured give a little bit better view on the bottles and the beers we poured and what have you. But what we got here is their dark berry sour. The thing attracted me. Just looking at it, kind of caught my eye. Figured it's got dark flavors to it. I'm not really kind of a sour kind of guy. It is what it is. We know, I obviously like porters and stouts and stuff like that. Sours, far and few between, but I think the thing that caught me with this is the dark berry. Figure maybe be in that kind of Belgian style, the lambics that we've talked about, that kind of dark fruit that's out in there. And according to the information for this, this thing's packed full of blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, and some vanilla that's tossed in there for good measure, I guess. So, we'll see how it is. See if it meets the palate. See if we like it. If not, whatever. It's described in fruity and tarty. So we'll see what comes out of it. So I meant to, going into this, was going to talk about what, sours are. But, when I got into looking at Flying Dog and kind of some of their history and some of the stuff, about them, obviously figured that'd be a little bit more interesting. And just a little quick thing, I guess, about the, these limited releases, these Brewhouse Rarities. It's something that they've been running since 2012. And the idea here is that, these are ideas that come from within Flying Dog itself. I guess kind of say that doesn't everything come from within inside Flying Dog? Yeah, but, from reading information about it, what it is more, it's not coming from a chief brewer or any, higher ups, head honchos or anything like that. This is actually coming from, it sounds like they do an annual retreat every year. And anybody from within inside the company can pitch a concept, and it could come from, accountants and sales managers, packagers, receptionists, and, and even the brewers themselves. So, they'll pitch the concept, and the powers that be, they'll sort through everything, and then we'll take a set of these, and then they will release them out during the year. And they release them out as these, Brewhouse Rarities. And, while they're supposed to be kind of a one and done type of, edition that comes out, just sometimes, due to the popularity, they'll make it back into the annual rotation. That happened within just as recently as 2021 with two of their selections. The first one being In God We Crush, which is inspired by none other than Delmarva Peninsula Beach. Actually the whole probably Delmarva Peninsula, because we love them up here in Newark, Delaware, and all the way down at the beach, Maryland Shore. The Orange Crush, plain simple. So it's inspired off of that. And then the other one is the Cream Tream milk stout. That's a little bit of tongue twister, so I take my time for that because I know I would butcher it up, and it's inspired by nothing else than milk and cookies. In regards to the, the labels, I think that's obviously, that's what stands out when you see a Flying Dog beer. The labels come across. As I can kind of see from here or not see from here, I've looked on there. It doesn't seem to fit their normal. I don't see any dogs with wings on there. There might be some in there. Eyes aren't too good, but from what I can tell from this label, can't see it. So, what's this have to do with anything? They are. I guess we're getting into the more section of the talk. Is that all their labels are done by the artwork. They're the artwork of Ralph Steadman. Who's Ralph Steadman? He is a British illustrator known for a lot of stuff, not just beer labels. But one of the biggest things, and how it ties in back into Flying Dog, is he was a known collaborator with American writer Hunter S. Thompson. Out as a brewery in Frederick, Maryland. Get hooked up with the likes of Ralph Steadman and also, Hunter S. Thompson. Well, back prior to their setup in Maryland in 2006, Flying Dog wasn't obviously always based out of Frederick, Maryland. They, if you didn't know, they got their start back in 1990 when George Stranahan, if I pronounced his name correctly, apologies if I did not, he opened a brew pub back in 1990. And he opened this in Woody's Creek, Colorado. And in 1994, they opened up a brewery when the brew pub had exceeded its capacity. If you don't know, I didn't know this fully, is Woody's Creek was the most famous resident was Hunter S. Thompson. He made his house there. And he frequent the establishment that Stranahan owned, on a near nightly basis, and he was also good friends with George Stranahan. Fast forward up a little bit to 1995, Flying Dog is about to intro Road Dog, and on July 13th, a fax arrived to Ralph Steadman asking, Ralph, please, I beg you, do a quick beer label or two for George. Your label must include one of my quotes about wisdom and drink. Signed S, signed H. God, screwed that up. H obviously being Hunter S. Hunter S. Thompson. I guess that's why I was going with the S, because the middle initial in that. So Ralph Steadman took this in, and what he ended up doing was he ended up creating their label, and he created, the label that we've got here, that we show here. And not only did he just create the label, obviously he threw on Thompson's quote of "Good people drink good beer," but he didn't stop there. He threw on this "Good beer, no shit." That kind of got them in trouble with the Colorado Liquor Board because they deemed it as profane, and they removed the beer from the market. Flying Dog, they replaced this and they flipped it out to "Good beer, no censorship." And eventually, after a 4-year battle, the original phrase was again reinstated in 2020. So we're back to the "Good beer, no shit," and that's where it stands, and that's how it's marketed out today. Flying Dog, again, is going to get, they're going to run afoul of the law, so to say, run into freedom of speech issues. In 2009 with the Michigan, when they denied them the rights to sell Raging Bitch. Long story short, they won that one too. So these guys, I'd say kind of back in the day, it kind of put their name on a map back in the early part when trying to wade through some of the craft brewers that were popping up is, this wasn't, Anheuser-Busch or Coors or, any of the huge big conglomerates taking on, state governments. This was the little guy. The little guy, everybody wants to root for the little guy. And, they took on, and it took them time. They had help from the ACLU, but they won. They won their case. So, guess that helps them out for there. So, and ever since 1995, Flying Dog's labels have all been featuring the artwork of Ralph Steadman. It is that iconic style that I think we would know. We could cover up the Flying Dog logo, and just looking at the label, you would know it's a Flying Dog beer. So enough of me jabbering on for all that stuff. We'll go ahead and crack into the beer, and let's go ahead and take a look and see what we got here. So again, label kind of cool there. Almost looks like little, I guess, like brains or people, something, spider people, whatever, that are setting up on there. So we'll go ahead and we'll give this guy a crack open. Trusty bottle opener. And let's go ahead, and I know I get told that my hand gets in the way, but I really have no other way of doing this. And I know if I do it and just pour straight from the top, we will get a massive amount of head. So let's see. Go ahead. Give it a nice good pour. Almost get it all. Oh, got it all in there. So set that off. That is a good, nice, clean color. Kind of see, nice, clear, a little bit of cloud to it. Nice, good. Hold that up. Nice kind of pink color. I can kind of just sit in here from here to here. It's about an arm's length almost. I could smell the sourness of the berries coming off of that. So we'll go ahead. Definitely, it's got that smell of the lambics that we had, the lindemans that we tried before, that dark cherry. I know it's saying there's no cherries that are in here, but definitely has a cherry kind of waft to it. Not a huge fruit guy all the time, so, I guess, maybe raspberries. There is a little bit of I do get the pucker off of that. Oh God, I got me on that one. Once I got a bigger swig on that, definitely in that crisp, clean, not huge kind of body to it. There is some sourness, some tartness to it. Obviously, for me, as we saw, kind of hit me. Again, I'm not used to all the sours that are out there, so some other people may not find it. It's not overtly tart. Like, yeah, I got hit with it a little bit, but it quickly dissipated. It didn't sit there on the mouth, lasting forever. In connection with that, we'll go ahead, give another try for there. Definitely kind of feel it's kind of coming in. That one not as much. Do get the raspberry. I get a lot of raspberry taste that's off of that. Do get a little bit of blueberry. Not really any blackberry taste on that, but mostly the raspberry and blueberry. No real vanilla. I would expected the vanilla to give us a little bit more cream to that. We didn't get much head. That kind of stayed on. The beer kind of disappeared, but it's a nice clear, just slightly cloudy from my view a little bit, kind of pinkish color that we have for that. And again, not too bad. Won't be pounding these left and right, but it would be a good refreshing beer for working outside, say, after a nice day. Probably would go along with, some other stuff. Not too bad. We'll give it, obviously I keep drinking it, so it's not that bad. If it was, I would not finish on that. So, but in any event, after that first kind of burst, don't really, I'd still get that the tartness that kind of comes in, but it's not, it's not over the top. Definitely drinkable. Not too terrible for that. So thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Click the subscribe button. Hopefully you learned a little bit, how the heck Maryland Brewery gets tied up and is tied up with Hunter S. Thompson and the likes of Ralph Steadman. And if you can find this, I know it looks like they said these limited edition Brewhouse Rarities, they kind of keep them in the mid-Atlantic region, I guess because of the amount that they brew, but I've said that before where I was surprised, stuff that I thought would be just in this region from some of the brewery information. And, I guess it gets distributed out, and, we had something for where I thought it was only in this area, and somebody said that they were in Indiana and found the beer. So, if you can find it, definitely not too bad. It's drinkable. We'll give it a thumbs up off of that. So, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. And as we said, with everything while we're gaming, here's to poning. And if we're going to get pwned, at least we got our beer in our hand. So, there you go. There's nice, good, clear, probably blend in with all the rest of the red that's showing up your shirt and everything else. So, but thanks guys. Cheers. And we'll catch you later.